Is there no one next to you? So well, I also hate the
build these integrations with a client that has that. You can't just sit there and code against something that you don't have access to. We can't go to TBIs and be like, hey, be a partner. They would be like, okay, you want to be a partner? It's $150,000 to be a partner. And Tyler's like, we're going to pay that. Yes, and then so we get all the integrations, but the client signs up for a service and loves their fucking software too. Which is why I told Tyler, like, I do want to take $25,000 and take $75,000 to get these integrations for all really valuable to the company. And Tyler's like, yeah, that's the engagement. Yeah. It's just started making sense though to me in like the last 3 months. Like the last 2 months, I was really lost. First 9 months, I was like, I was feeling really bad about Texas. So I think it's 6 so yeah. I think it was 6:30. All right, I'll see you later.
Okay, everybody, we're about to start, so if you could just take your seats and get ready. Grab a last-minute drink. Okay, I am Amy Franjezovic. I am the current president of AMA San Francisco, and I want to thank you for everybody that came here. Got a couple of announcements and thanks. Most importantly, Trenkite, who is ultimately responsible for putting this incredible event together tonight. Thank you, Trenkite, wherever you are. And also our partners in crime, PRSA. We have done a lot of great events with them, and we hope to do a bunch of great events in the future. Absolutely, thanks so much to our speakers who are coming here on their own time and sharing their expertise with everybody. And if everybody could put their hands together for NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center, this incredible, incredible venue. I hope everybody saw the ticker and our logos outside. And Genevieve Schiffer, who is our photographer extraordinaire. Keep an eye out for her photos. We will be doing some wrap-up posts and whatnot, so make sure you show her your best side. And then last but not least, all the board members and volunteers who are integral in helping everybody put this size of event together. We could not have done it with a lot of support. Which leads me into my segue. Our next AMA event will be a volunteer recruitment event. So if this is something that you're interested in doing in any way, shape, or form, from events, promotion, blogging, social media, a whole bunch of different things, keep an eye out on our promotions and get involved. And then in June, we're going to have my last event as president before Maria takes over. Will be marketing practices and ethics, operating in the gray zone. A lot of people don't do things ethically, don't do things correctly. We want to set everybody straight and make sure that we're all working to the best of our abilities. So with that, I want to kick it over to John McCartney from PRSA to do his intro.
Hi, everyone. My name is John McCartney. I'm the president of the PRSA San Francisco Bay Area chapter for 2019. I'm so excited to see all you faces here. We have an exciting program, getting creative with your PR and marketing. And I again echo to thank Trenkite for underwriting this program and putting this together. Trenkite Cision, I stand corrected. And I also want to give a shout out to Albert Lee and his team at Rock's Beverage Catering for the food and the drinks. So definitely say hi to them. And if you're looking for a caterer for any events, definitely talk to them. And we also have some giveaways at the table here, some mouse pads and screen cleaners and stuff for your, like a business card holder for your iPhones and stuff. So PRSA, we are the group for PR professionals and communication professionals. And you know, we have a number of things that we're planning to help your career, to move the profession forward and the professional forward as well. Next week, we are planning a program around cannabis, media, and PR. It's the second year that California is legal, and it was a very popular event last year, and we're looking forward to doing this event again next week. And then in May, on May 9th, we have a program that's going to be at Weber Shandwick about improv and how you can learn some secrets as far as pivoting in your presentations. So that's something to look forward to. And then in June, we have a Meet the Media program around consumer electronics. So, you know, there's a number of folks here who work for a company that is in the consumer electronics space, so that might be something that you all might be interested in checking out. We will have reporters who cover the consumer electronics space, so definitely go to prsasf.org for all the details. Be sure to sign up for a newsletter if you're not a member. We would love to have you join us. Again, it's all about moving the profession and the professional forward, and that's our mission. And I hope you all have a good evening tonight. And without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to my buddy Dave Cardiel of Trenkite. Flew all the way from Austin, Texas, and he's going to sort of let you know what to expect from this evening's program. Cardiel?
I'm just going to bring everybody on out. Come on. How's everybody doing this evening? Great. All right. Y'all ready to get creative? Yeah. Now I want to thank the Bay Area chapter of PRSA, of course, the San Francisco chapter of American Marketing Association, for allowing us to host this event and invite you guys out. Have a little thought leadership, a little networking, all with goodwill here. But while we're here, getting creative with your PR, leveraging creative in your PR to make better pitches, be better marketers, that sort of thing. So we've got a strong panel of folks here that I've had the pleasure of speaking with over the last couple of weeks that hopefully really bring some good knowledge to kind of help you guys in your day in and day out of business. We're trying to raise above the noise, right? We're trying to get our pitches heard. We're trying to get our campaigns bought into, day in and day out as PR and communications professionals as well as marketing professionals. So our intent today with this panel is really to get into looking at creative trends that they're seeing in the marketplace, best practices that they're using. From the agency side, which they're all from various agencies here, what are they telling their clients to do and not to do? What should brands be thinking about day in and day out? And then we get down to the data, and that's really kind of looking at kind of the ROI and the impact of the campaigns that you're running, and then at the end of the day, where to start, right? We've got a very diverse group of folks here. The novice PR marketing professional folks with they're a little bit more seasoned, right, in their endeavors. So we'll jump into that. But enough. You're probably done hearing me talk. Let's look at the speakers here. First up, we've got Paul Wilkie. He's the CEO at Upright Position Communications. Glad to have you here, Paul. He's a folk storyteller, right? Been around the block a little bit. Prior to founding Upright Position Communications, he headed up public relations at Splunk, where he led communications around one of this decade's most successful IPOs. Before that, he managed global public relations at Visa. Very cool thing here, he sat on President Obama's Travel and Tourism Advisory Board and worked on their IPO. Prior to moving to the Bay Area, he spent some 12 years in Singapore, where he headed up Visa's public relations operations for South and Southeast Asia. In addition to his communications work on more than a dozen IPOs, Paul's a featured speaker on IPOs, crisis comms, and tech PR. Welcome, Paul. Shira Abel. She's the CEO at Hunter & Baird.
Bard,
I did it again. She focuses on using creative PR and marketing strategies to achieve omni-channel results for clients. She's got years of experience working with clients across industries, from startup to enterprise, and everything in between. This has provided her with a clear understanding of what it takes to organically grow a company via digital engagement and brand awareness. She's an expert in creating higher customer lifetime value through relationship building. Welcome, Shira. And then finally, last but not least, Rich Harris. He's the creative director at Ruckus Networks, an Eris company. He hails from Scotts Valley, California. He's been a creative in Silicon Valley for almost 25 years. He's a music composer, photographer, and aspiring filmmaker. He is all about content that moves the hearts. In today's business of PR marketing and the battle against the short attention span, there's an art to moving people with engaging content that is short, sweet, and thoughtful, yet high production value without a Hollywood budget. Rich couldn't fix a car or write software to save his life, but if you want to influence an audience to have a behavior for a brand, you do it through the heartstrings. The challenge is to do it. The challenge is it has to be done without coming off like a used car salesman, so you don't get turned out in 2 seconds. This is where Rich comes in. I love that bio. It's good stuff. Welcome, Rich. So let's jump right in and ask that first question. Paul, let me start with you for a minute here.
Okay.
Take a look at some creative trends, tools you're seeing in the marketplace, things that folks are using that's catching your eyes, and things that you need to be cognizant of.
Well, in terms of tools, it's using the tools to help you kind of do the basics. You know, in terms of connecting with reporters, it's still a human connection. It's still having a story that you think is strong enough, but communicating it in a way to the journalist that they feel a sense of ownership, and you know, it's something they want to do. It's almost you know, it's a little bit of Jedi mind trickery. You have to package all this stuff up together in a way that they say, okay, I can work with this, and I can own this, and I can really do a good job. But in terms of tools of delivering it, you know, it's everything you have at your disposal. It's Twitter, it's email, it's everything connected to those. It's using Cision to make sure you have the right contact details for the reporter. Shameless plug, sorry. But you've got to have the tools to make the connections, and even those, and some of the connections are face to face. It's at an event like this. There may be a reporter out there that you capture their eye and say, look, you know, I read your article the other day, and I think you've got something that might be interesting here, and that's really kind of what we focus on.
Very cool, very cool. Rich, your thoughts there on that end?
Coming from the creative side of things, I'm focused mostly on, you know, what are the channels that would be most effective to move people or, you know, get the right response and stuff. And so as far as tools, I'm starting to see a lot of the tools that a lot of us know and love, like Instagram, start to integrate more lead generation and kind of more of a business path through the Instagram experience, not just here's my video, here's my photo of my food and all that bullshit, but actually, you know, have a, hey, check out this cool resource, here's what it's for, here's why you like it. I even had an experience the other day where I checked out a video program that a guy was kind of promoting on Instagram. All I did was go click on that link, and then when I went back to Instagram, a follow-up post showed up on Instagram saying, hey, I noticed you just went and looked at my, you know, blah, 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 you know, make sure you go back again. And so I didn't even know that those kinds of things were available. And so now, as we start to develop more creative, I'm trying to make sure that I understand very clearly what the Instagrams and Facebook boosting and ads and stuff like that, where they're headed, and try to stay on the cusp of that so that we can always turn, you know, these cool content ideas into something that's actually going to indirectly or directly generate revenue, you know.
Very cool. And Shira, what are you maybe seeing in the marketplace?
So for us, it's about making sure that we're getting the right message out to the right audience at the right time. So how do you end up doing that? Well, you have to actually know what that audience is looking for. Spraying and praying is not the way to go. You need to figure out, okay, these are the 12 pundits in my industry, and they're writing about this. This one's interested in that. This one's interested in this. This one's interested in something else. What we have in the agency is what I call the writer's room. So if you're on the artist side, artists work alone, but writers work in a bunch, and they tear apart each other's work, and through that dialogue, you get better, right? Is anybody here from copy? Yes, I'm seeing nods. So that's what we have inside of the agency. We work really collaboratively with our clients. We come up with ideas. We'll do research reports, and we'll figure out exactly who's interested in what. We'll do thought leadership pieces and build them up that way. So for us, it's less about tools as it is about process. We use all the tools you mentioned, and they are the tools of the trade, but if you can use every tool, if you're not using it properly, it doesn't really matter.
And if I could add to what you said, the spraying and praying approach is a mistake a lot of people make. And one of the things that we tell our clients is, I would rather have a media list of 25 to 30 of an inner circle of reporters that will be interested in what you're doing than a media list that's like 500 deep.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to have those meaningful connections with 500 reporters.
No. Figure out the 12, top 20.
Staying on that note, in line with the theme of it being creative, what are some ways you're seeing that you should be able to, or how to reach those maybe key influencers or or journalists that are out there?
Professional stalking usually works.
Okay.
I mean, I know, and I'm serious. It's following them on Instagram, following them on Twitter.
But following's not enough. You have to actually engage.
Engage, exactly.
Yeah.
And understand what they're passionate about, because once you know what they're passionate about, you can kind of connect the dots between what you're working on and what they're working on if you're doing your job right.
And they'll know who you are. And even if you've never reached out to them before, when you're finally ready to, because they're familiar with you, they're more likely to look at that email or look at that message. Yeah. Build the relationship first.
Rich, I want to go back to something you were talking about earlier. You were talking about some of the some of the tools. You brought up Instagram, for instance, is a trend you're seeing in the marketplace. Let's talk about maybe the person or the human behind that, in terms of maybe the tone or tenor they should take, or the chances maybe they should take behind those tools in terms of from a creative standpoint.
Yeah, well, I mean, it definitely depends on the creative, and it depends on the client, and it depends on their audience, because, in the corporate world, you have a lot of clients that are going to come at you as a creative and go, hey man, we really want to try something new. We're sick of all this like stodgy crap that our competitors are doing, and we want to go for it and think outside the box. And then I always have to say, well, are you sure about that? Because if you tell somebody like me you want to go outside the box, I usually start super extreme, and then I show it to my wife, and then she says, take it down about 4 notches. And then I'm like, okay, cool. And then you pitch them. But you have to understand the kind of fine art of being disruptive, being unique, catering to the fact that you need to get people's attention in 8 seconds, and also walking that kind of PR line of sensitivity, and making sure that if you are going to do comedy or you're going to do any type of content like that, that you're thoughtful but also smart about it, and just really, really aware. And because especially if you're representing somebody else's brand like they do, oftentimes you have to know how to walk that fine line of not being offensive but still being funny and interesting and quirky and weird, or whatever. So it's definitely a challenge, and it is not one size fits all by any means.
What do you do, Shira, maybe when the client wants to control the language a little bit? Maybe some, they have a fixated on an idea there, where their creativity maybe in their mind overrides yours. How do you go about situations like that?
So sometimes it's a process, and you have to kind of hold them by the hand and take them a little bit slower, and you work with them until they understand. And you can also give other examples. We have a client now that it's a team of engineers. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Product is mind-blowing. Everything about them is amazing, but they think like engineers. They recognize they don't know marketing or PR or design. But they think that because they're engineers, they could do anything. They're engineers. They could do this. And that's not how it works, as we know. So they took us for a reason. So what we did was, in that situation, we just said, okay, here's your brand, here's your messaging, here's the competition. Can you see the difference? And when you put them side by side, you can see the difference. So sometimes you have to do that. There's different ways that you could say, okay, I see we're in this situation. Or maybe they say they want to go out on a ledge, right? And they want to be edgy. But then, then they start to reel everything back in because of fear. How is this going to end up working? Is it really okay? And, there's that as well. We work more on the B2B side. We also have some e-commerce clients, but nobody who's totally on the edge, so we haven't had that opportunity yet. But when, it's about going, okay, we do need to have a differentiation. Here's why we need it. So it's educating the client, basically. And there's just different ways to do that.
Sure. You see that sometimes, Paul? Out there?
Oh, yeah. Client training is a big part of what we do. But, to their credit, what their product is, what their platform is, it's their baby. And it's their baby, and they want to make sure it's out there in the right voice and doing the right thing. And like she said, they have to trust the process, but we need to build that trust. We need to
Yeah.
instill that trust. A great example, I've had clients over the years that they want to see every word of every pitch, and it's like, no, that's not how we do it, because every pitch is different. So I'll create a grid of like, these are the type of pitches we do. The word's going to change a little bit depending on the reporter, depending on our relationship with them. But we do this every day, 360 odd days a year. Trust the process.
Yeah.
And if you let us do our thing, we'll get the results for you. But if you take us off the path, if you disempower us, you're not going to get the results you want.
Or give us the time. It takes time to get results. It takes time to build those relationships. If you don't have enough budget for enough time, then expect it to take a lot longer to get those results. But back on the convincing side, one thing I forgot to mention, if you're on the marketing side of the house and you have an idea that you want to pull in, get a sales guy to pitch it for you. Don't pitch it yourself. It's amazing what they could get through.
Yeah, that's true.
Seriously.
That's actually a really good tip.
I'm going to use that, actually.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome. That one's a really good one, I know.
That's really good. I want to come back a little bit to on the, because the overall theme here is, getting creative with your pitches a little bit. We kind of talked about the spray and pray approach a little bit, but let's take it a little bit deeper in terms of what actually is working. You mentioned the interactions and so forth, but the relationship building. I think, Paul, we had a conversation on that a little bit. You could touch on that a little bit, or maybe kind of some additional best practices that are working there.
In terms of relationships with journalists?
With the journals, or building them.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to what you said, it's making sure you have that connection with them, however works, but part of it is just, you're, as a PR person, especially in the agency life, you're the middleman. You have to get the balance right of what the client wants, just as much as you have to get an idea of what the journalist wants. And at the end of the day, if a journalist sees my phone number or my email address in their email and they don't open it because I'm giving them bad ideas, I'm not helping my client in that regard. So you have to kick the tires on both what the journalist is interested in, but more importantly, what the client's wanting you to do. My knee-jerk reaction when a client says to me, "We need to do a press release on this," and my first question is always, "Why?" And you need to step back and you need to ask that why question, because A, it might not be worthy of a press release, it might not be newsworthy. So let's figure out what the strategy is before we lock down the tactic.
Seems like a lot of non-PR folks in companies too, especially product marketing people are pretty guilty of thinking everything needs a press release, and so trying to work on dialing them back a little bit, but still validating the fact that they want to do a press release because their baby is about to be launched, and that's all really important stuff, but that's definitely been a constant challenge, is trying
Press
to
release is
figure
a
that
great
out.
distraction tactic.
Right.
You guys go look at the press release, we'll do the pitching.
Right.
I know what you're saying with the press release and product marketing there. Let's get to the reporting here for a minute, because it's been living in a world where all of our campaigns are working perfectly, or not perfectly. We're learning from it. But we have bosses to report to. We have reports we need to build. We need to show that we're driving something to the organization. What are you advising your clients, or how are you helping enable your clients to be successful, or to learn from campaigns, good or bad?
I think every campaign's different. These guys do a good job. Again, shameless plug part two. But I'm kind of old school in the way of media coverage. Is are we getting a message carry through? And sometimes it's just actually reading an article and saying, okay, this matches up with what we were trying to say, and it's the right publication. It's the reporters, it's the publications we said we were going to hit, and we hit it. Or on the flip side, we didn't hit it, so let's step back and look at why we didn't or what did work. And that's where the tools and the analytics can show us stuff that we didn't think of. But it's important for looking at those positive and the negative.
It's also really important that you help the client manage up. So you have to make sure that you enable them, right? This person is your advocate inside of the organization. They have somebody they report to. You have to empower them with information. You're giving them a report, or you're taking them through and teaching them how to read the analytics to make sure that they can explain to their boss, look, we got this piece, and if you look, there's a rise in traffic this day. Yes, the traffic went down a little bit afterwards, but because of that rise in traffic, all of these people came to the site and they are now aware. Now, if you think about how we buy, we don't buy the second we see something the first time. We buy after seeing it multiple times. So that little piece of awareness means there's going to be a sale 3 to 6 months down the line. Higher chance of it. So when you start that campaign, it's not necessarily something that you're going to see immediately. One piece of coverage, it most likely will not change your life forever. And one thing that to keep in mind, nothing will kill a bad product faster than good press. So that's another thing. You don't want too much press for something that isn't ready baked.
There was, and I forget the app or the piece of technology, but there was something Walt Mossberg reviewed, and it was just, he just wrote a scathing reviews, obviously for retired.
Right.
But you could tell, just sort of written between the paragraphs, was the company said, we've got to get Walt to review this. It's like, oh, be careful what you wish for. Because you're going to get coverage. It may not be the coverage you want, so you have to make sure everything's ready, everything's locked down, everything's the way you want it if you're going to play with the big boys.
Yeah, there's that.
On the metric side there for a minute, though, going beyond, remember we had this conversation about getting beyond things like the vanity metrics, so to speak, which can be important. I'm not dismissing vanity metrics, so to speak, but I've seen a CMO over time or two get excited because 15,000 people liked our LinkedIn page. Going kind of beyond the reporting, beyond that to a little bit there on the PR and social side. What are your recommendations to your clients?
Okay, I'll answer. I always like knowing going into a client relationship whether or not there are egos involved. And I don't steer clear of them. We'll get that conversation later. But knowing going in that you're dealing with an ego or an executive who wants to raise their profile over the product or the brand, knowing that going in makes a world of difference. You can add an extra quote from him or her in the press release. You can sign that person up for an award. But if you don't know that going in, it's dangerous because that's the first thing they're looking for. They're looking for the results. They want their name, in the news clippings. They want their LinkedIn page to get the hits. They want more Twitter profiles, Twitter followers. So it's just knowing is half the battle, really.
So for us, a lot of what we do on the B2B side is cult of personality, and we'll build it. And that is what we look to do. We do contributing posts. We'll write it for them, but we'll do the contributing posts, and we'll build up the profiles, and we'll build up, because if you're doing a B2B product that isn't necessarily something that's it's not Oreo cookies or something like this, which has its own personality, and people follow it because of its own personality. The dunking in the dark from the Super Bowl from years ago. Then, you may not necessarily follow this brand. You may follow different people in the brand. A great example of this is Avner Werner from AWS, Amazon Web Services. So he has a cult of personality around him. He's all over Europe at different conferences. He's very well known in the tech industry. I can give you a list of names along this lines. So sometimes you want to go that route. It depends on your strategy. And it doesn't necessarily mean that the person itself said, this is what we're going to do. Another person who does it really well, argumentatively, would be Elon Musk. Okay? He has a huge following, very much a cult of personality, and he uses that to raise awareness and build sales, and then sometimes cult of personality falls. So think of Travis from Uber, right? So sometimes you have to be careful on how it's managed. when you have large numbers on social, yes, it matters that they're the right numbers, but quite frankly, large numbers themselves send a signal to anybody who's just glancing at the account. And whether we like it or not, we are creatures who follow. So if this account has really large numbers and they're not necessarily following a huge number, okay, and that ratio looks really good, you're more likely to follow them, and their numbers will continue to grow. So while growing the numbers may be a vanity metric, it can also be a strategic one.
And I want to add to this, I don't know, we're going off the tangent, I'm about to.